Hello, hello. Bart, are you with us?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, loud and clear. Perfect.
Great. Hey.
I think if you don't mind, we'll give it another minute or two, let a few more people join, and then we'll kick off.
Sure. Sounds good.
Perfect. I think let me start by giving our standard intro, and then hopefully by the time I'm done, we'll have a nice little audience, and then we can kick things off. So, hi everyone, welcome to what is now episode 9 of the Yala Bitcoin Liquidity series. This is an interview series where we do a deep dive on the most unique and innovative projects across the Bitcoin DeFi ecosystem. And today we're honored to be joined by Bart from the pSTAKE finance team. So pSTAKE finance, I won't give too much away, but it's a novel liquid staking platform for Bitcoin. And yeah, I'm sure Bart will be able to tell us a lot more. So I'm excited to have you, Bart. Welcome to the show. Oh, and it seems like we lost him. Let's see if we can figure this out.
Okay, I think I'm back. I don't know. Space.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think I lost you there for a second. I'm not sure what happened. Sort of this can be buggy sometimes, but it seemed to work. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
they still have to figure out.
yeah, 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 yeah. I
Okay,
didn't
well,
get.
let's try and hope that it works.
Yeah, I don't. But it seems to work now. Oh,
Yeah, perfect. So just about finished the intro, so I think we can kick it off from here. Let's I think if you don't mind, let's go straight into it. If you can introduce yourself and pSTAKE, give us a little intro into what you do.
yeah. So my name is Bart. I'm originally from Belgium. I'm the CSO at pSTAKE, um, Chief Strategy Officer, so kind of involved in a lot of things like strategic around the project, but also operationally, sort of what we do, where we go, and all that stuff. So what does pSTAKE do? So pSTAKE is a liquid staking protocol. So we've been around since 2019, so quite a while. We originally built liquid staking for assets in Cosmos. Even for Ethereum, we did it in the very beginning, but we kind of, that's a long story. But I would say that we majorly focused on Cosmos assets, which we've done for a while. But then Cosmos wasn't really doing as well. The ecosystem kind of suffered a lot from the Terra collapse. We also had liquid staking for Binance, for BNB. But those assets, I mean, as much as that was going okay, like we actually saw an opportunity a little bit more than a year ago to work together with Babylon. So we created an LST for Bitcoin, essentially, so for assets staked into Babylon. And that's kind of where we're focusing on now. Like we've completely, let's say, I wouldn't say pivot, but really concentrated on a single kind of asset, and not kind of get distracted with like a basket of assets. So we really want to sort of double down on Bitcoin and work more on sort of the distribution of this. So that's kind of what we're doing at pSTAKE. So very simple, like LST project, focusing on Bitcoin very much. And myself, nothing else to say other than I'm from Belgium originally, but I'm based in Asia. I live in Thailand, of all places. Yeah.
Okay. Not a bad place to live.
No,
But,
can recommend it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess to dive into what made you, or what made pSTAKE not just focus on one asset as opposed to, I guess, a basket, but also specifically choose Bitcoin as this asset to focus on. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah, I mean,
energy and momentum for Ethereum and Solana at the time, and I guess Bitcoin staking was quite new.
yeah, I mean, good question. I think for us, sort of like Ethereum, we kind of chose, we were very early on, like with building LSTs, and we kind of chose the Cosmos ecosystem, while Lido really went all in for Ethereum, which obviously was a very good decision. So not saying that we would have done it as well as then, but that was kind of at the time we were very early, so around the same time or even before them. But we chose Cosmos, and Cosmos had the Terra collapse, which was, it never really recovered from that. Whereas Ethereum then kind of was really dominated by Lido. And for us, building LSTs for like various assets, it's kind of hard, because for every asset that you create an LST, then you have to build DEX liquidity, integrations with lending platforms. There's a lot of kind of maintenance and work that comes with it. So having the opportunity of building an LST for Bitcoin, which is the main asset in crypto, was kind of a pretty straightforward decision. Like a lot of us at pSTAKE from the team originally came, into crypto because of Bitcoin. So to actually build a product that was really concentrating around this was great. Like we all wanted to do this, and then while we were building it, we still had our other LSTs. We're still sort of doing this, but then more and more we realized, like, okay, actually this project Babylon and what they're doing is really, really awesome. Creating this LST makes a lot of sense. So we just doubled down on it, and we said, okay, we'll just focus on this. And actually, starting from this month, we're actively going to deprecate all these Cosmos LSTs that we still have, because again, we don't want to get distracted. We just want to focus on a single asset, and that's kind of Bitcoin. So yeah, so really, I think for people sort of to look at an LST provider, it's just easier if you're concentrating on one thing. If they know, like, okay, they're very good at this, then that kind of makes it easier to have the conversation, and sort of talk about who you are, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. I think Bitcoin's a very interesting choice as well. Like the DeFi space within Bitcoin has grown dramatically over the last few years, and it's it's kind of
Yeah, for
reaching
sure.
kind of tangent where it's not to say it's now or never, but it's kind of like the inflection point where it's set to explode now, it feels like.
Yeah, and I think it's an important evolution, right? Because Bitcoin has always been this asset that didn't have any inherent yield. So people were just holding it, and hoping that it would appreciate in value. And now that there is this staking opportunity that they can actually create like some yield on their Bitcoin, that helps to make the asset even more interesting, where there's like more utility towards it. And then you can create an LST that actually makes sense, because there is, underlying yield on the LST token. And then you can kind of have DeFi integration. So you have this whole kind of ecosystem that's being built now around this BTCFi, which I think is very good. Like, because in the end, it is again the biggest asset, and it helps for people to focus again on crypto and what Bitcoin means and what it can do. So I think it's a very good evolution. So yeah, and Babylon has its TGE in a few months. There's a few other projects that are launching as well. So BTCFi is definitely top of mind, I would say, still.
Yeah, I agree. I guess to take it a step back, about Bitcoin staking here, can you walk the audience through, I guess, where the yield comes from, or how it's possible to provide liquid staking for Bitcoin?
Yeah, so Babylon, what they did is, as most people know, I would say, is that Bitcoin is a proof of work, a crypto like blockchain. So it's different from proof of stake, where assets are being staked to secure the chain, and in return, they're giving part of, let's say, inflation or maybe fees, for kind of collateralizing these assets. Like with Bitcoin, that's not the case. Miners are essentially taking the fees. What Babylon has developed is they created a way where you can lock up your Bitcoin, and it can be used as sort of a stakeable asset to secure proof of stake chains. So they'll introduce slashing down the line. That's an important aspect. Right now, that's not the case. But where we are right now is that they've attracted like a bunch of capital. And then they will start by launching their own chain. So the Babylon chain, they will be secured, the first chain essentially to secured with Bitcoin. And all these liquidity providers who have deposited their Bitcoin or staked their Bitcoin, they will get sort of rewards from, in the form of Babylon tokens, baby tokens, first of all. And then down the line, the idea is that they will use Bitcoin to secure other chains in the Cosmos ecosystem to start with. Maybe down the line they'll move to other ecosystems as well. And then in return for this Bitcoin security, which is obviously very valuable, all these chains will direct part of their inflation towards the stakers. So that's kind of how they create this yield for staking your Bitcoin. Now, the question is, how much is this going to be? Like, that's hard to say. Like, we don't really know. So that's remains to be seen. Yeah, but it could be decent. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So there's no indication of I guess like what's the estimate here for the yield? Are we talking similar to Ethereum where it's 3 to 4% or 10 or
Yeah,
users going for
hard to
plus
say.
20 and yeah.
Oh, I don't think it's going to be that much. I mean, chains and Cosmos in the past, like some of them had very high inflation, and then the sort of staking yield was really high. But they've all had to reduce this, right? Because that's just not sustainable. If you're around for a couple of years as a project and you have like, I don't know, annual inflation, then you're really diluting your value. So a lot of these chains have kind of reduced this a lot.
Yeah.
But also like the value of the change in certain cases has gone up. So if they are getting Bitcoin security through Babylon, then I'm sure that they will direct like substantial amounts in tokens. So all of this is going to flow back to the stakers. Hopefully give them some decent yield on their Bitcoin.
Okay, exciting. So we'll keep an eye out for the yield here.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah,
For,
but I mean,
for
to be honest,
Bitcoin,
it's not. Yeah, it's just to finish. Like, it doesn't stop there, right? Because like that's kind of the first part of yield for people who are participating in sort of Babylon staking, but then having an LSD, take this derivative and kind of use it in other DeFi applications, so where you can kind of double down and get even more yield. So because there's an LST, it just makes it all the more interesting, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I guess that comes on to the next question. Like, what do you see as the key advantage of creating an LST here? Or like, what's the key advantage for pSTAKE? Because if you take Lido as an example, or Ethereum liquid staking tokens, there was the obvious lockup in the beginning. So you needed liquidity and accessibility for SDE. And then it's kind of evolved now where you have all these other new exciting yield opportunities. You have restaking, you have leverage staking, all sorts of exciting opportunities. Like, what do you see as the most exciting opportunity for Bitcoin LSTs?
Oh, I think it depends a little bit on your risk appetite. So, with pSTAKE, we've developed something which is somewhat different from the traditional LSTs. Like, like there are other LSTs which have focused on kind of a mass amount of integrations where you can bring this LST anywhere you want. You can have a bunch of leverage, like you can do lending, like lots of things you can do with it, but obviously also quite risky. And with pSTAKE, we've deliberately sort of not done that. So our largest group, I would say, of Bitcoin stakers with pSTAKE are institutions, and it's different for them because they don't really want to take that much risk. They like to have some yield on their Bitcoin, but they want to do it in a, let's say, risk minimized manner. And this is kind of where we try to come in. So our DeFi integrations are more focused on restaking and like liquidity provision, like certain like different kind of approach, which is to summarize, like with low smart contract risk. It's just a different approach. I think both are valid. Like you can do either one or the other, but for us, and this is mainly because of feedback we've got from our patients. That's kind of what we do.
Okay, got it. Interesting. I guess in terms of
Hello, am I
like
still
potential user base or the yeah, you're here. I hear you. Do you hear me?
Okay, yeah.
No worries, all good. I guess in terms of like the target market or your target user base for the pSTAKE LST, how do you envision the Bitcoin DeFi ecosystem evolving? Like, is it going to be mainly retail and degen focused, perhaps similar to Solana, or are we going to see an influx of institutions and institutional capital?
Well, I actually think there's going to be quite a bit of institutional capital that's flowing in. I mean, you have, with all the ETFs that have launched, there's a lot more attention now to Bitcoin from institutions like larger kind of players. So, there's also companies like, let's say Tesla, like MicroStrategy, where, they have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Like it's becoming like really kind of normalized that Bitcoin has its value. So down the line, I can only see kind of more of Bitcoin, where they say, okay, but we have the Bitcoin and there is no inherent yield, but maybe we can stake this, right? So there is definitely an avenue for more bucks. And then having the option for institutions to create an LST on top of their, stake Bitcoin in case of Babylon, or maybe there's going to be other solutions down the line. Then this LST can be restaked, do something else with it, all of it kind of in a low or risk minimized manner. Then I think there is definitely sort of room for growth. So to me, the only way is up, from what I can tell. So we're definitely in the right space. But again, like for retail, it's also interesting, but it's just a different kind of different market, I would say. Like it's more like smaller deposits, and they prefer to have like more complicated integrations where they can do different things, like bring it to different places, like stuff out. Like with institutions, I think it's a bit more tailored to their needs, what they're looking for, and we kind of provide this custom approach rather than just having like this blanket kind of integration of everywhere where we can go. That's not what we do.
Yep. Okay, got it. That makes sense. I think that's a more interesting approach to it as well. Tailor making it here.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see. So far, so good. So it seems that
Fingers
our
crossed.
clients, if you like, they like it. So and that's why we also like are focusing on it. For our retail users, we actually created more of an earn product where we it's a different kind of approach. We don't focus on the LST. We focus on more like very simple kind of earning yield, something different.
Okay, but still within pSTAKE finance, so it's a different product.
Yeah, it's still in pSTAKE. So currently, we have us and we've directed incentives towards them in the form of pSTAKE, and then we've created like an avenue for pSTAKE, which is the token, the protocol token, which is predominantly a governance token. But we actually created a new kind of utility for pSTAKE where you can actually stake pSTAKE. And in return for that, we'll give you CBBTC as sort of rewards. But we do ask you to, perform some like activities, some community work, like, give us feedback so that we actually get closer to our community. And in return for their kind of, input and their work, we give them like rewards in the form of CBBTC. So just kind of like this flywheel model. And then the CBBTC, they can stake it again, they can earn more pSTAKE, that's kind of how we thought about this.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that is more retail focused than
Yeah,
than
100%.
for
Yeah, this
institutions.
is just retail focused. Yeah.
Okay. In terms of like upcoming features or announcements, what does the next year look like for pSTAKE?
Yeah, so I mean, we're really going to focus on increasing our TVL. That's really important for us to sort of work on that. We really want to increase this. We want to improve our distribution. So whether it's for sort of our token, to just make sure that token, or let's say the protocol, that people are more aware of pSTAKE. So it's very hard to do. Like this industry is all about mindshare. So it's really important to figure out how to keep So that's a major focus for us to have this. Then we're also going to increase kind of or work on the pSTAKE staking side. So what I mentioned, where people can take the token, earn CBBTC. So those are kind of the pillars that we focus on. So increase kind of or institution YBTC or that the distribution for both the product is sort of done well. Yeah. We're also dabbling like recently in AI. So we've launched an AI agent. I actually been working on that. It's kind of fun. So it's just I think there's a lot of overlap between the growing sort of AI industry and crypto. They're both sort of very like bleeding edge tech kind of people, and we also want to start working on that as well, and like kind of integrate this in our whatever we do. So we'll have an AI agent that we converse with as well. So just want to get that involved too. But that's more of just something for fun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about this AI agent?
It's we just created like a personality. It's like a cat that's very interested in BTC Fi, and at the same time he likes to comment on pictures of cats. But he definitely has an opinion on Bitcoin and sort of the evolution of Bitcoin and anything financial around it. So yeah, we'll just sort of have it interact with our pSTAKE account and just have it as sort of a harbinger of news. But the hard part to do this is like you can create a character with an AI, but then it starts to have its own life and start to say like stuff that even though you didn't sort of put it in his character, but somehow he's coming up with it, which is fascinating. Like we had no idea that it was going to do this. So you have to sort of shape its memory and shape its thoughts a little bit, and you can only do so much. Like at some point, it just runs off its own. And it's really, it's been quite a journey. Like the other day, he was like tweeting stuff where he was saying, "Oh, like remember, like you need to keep your keys because what happened to Celsius." And I was like, "Say, wait a minute, why are you saying this?" Like, so he was sort of going a bit off the rails. But yeah, it's just like nice. I think it's a good experience, and I think it should be part of like crypto. Like I think AI is going to be ubiquitous. It's going to be everywhere. And people like us who are sort of deep in tech, I think we have to adopt this. And even though in our case it's more of a fun kind of quirky thing, like it's still important to sort of understand like what this means and what is going to how the evolution of the space is going to look like with the involvement of a lot of AI agents. I think it's definitely coming.
Yeah. So very fascinating to watch the evolution already, and not just the last 6 months, but I guess the last 2 years as a whole, how quickly it's taken off, and especially how big a part of this industry it's become.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing, to be honest. And I think it's just the beginning, like it's just going to explode in the next few years. I think to me it's very clear. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Let's hope you trained your AI agent the right way so it doesn't take over the industry.
Yes. I mean, I made him believe he's
Let's
a
see.
cat, so I think he should be pretty harmless, but then again, who knows?
So he's limited.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. And got it. So I guess we're almost at time here. Is there anything else you want to hint or tease at about pSTAKE? Anything the audience can look forward to?
I think we're as I mentioned, like we're definitely going to sort of our presence with institutions. We're going to work more on our staking product for our token. We also want to give the token more attention, so like working on sort of more distributions for this. And then we're also looking. This is a bit of alpha, but we're also looking at different kind of staking opportunities for Bitcoin. So maybe in the future we might sort of have another LST for a different type of Bitcoin staking. So yeah, so I think this should be an interesting year. So let's see what happens.
Okay, exciting. We'll keep our eyes out for this.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for hosting. How is it going at Yala? We didn't talk about you guys. Like I appreciate. Yeah, the invitation.
No, I guess the focus is on pSTAKE today, but I think things are things are going really well. So we are nearing the end of our testnet. So we launched on testnet. I forget exactly when it was, mid-October, I believe, and it's been fantastic so far. Lots of traction on the platform, and we've launched, I guess, 2 new iterations of the testnet with V3 coming in hopefully like 2 or 3 weeks, and then mainnet a few weeks after that. So I think it's like as you know, time flies in this industry, and it feels like it's just a week ago that we launched on testnet, but now we're almost ready for mainnet.
Yeah, very exciting. Yeah, like I'm sure you guys are gonna do great.
Yeah, I guess.
So probably we'll run into you again at all the conferences. Like we've ran into each other like a few times. So I'm sure this will happen again. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And lots of room for us to integrate and grow the BTC Fi space
For
together.
sure, for sure. I think good things are to come. So yeah, all good.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. And on that note, I think thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And we'll stay in touch.
Thank you so much for hosting. All right. Have a great day. Thanks everyone.
Perfect. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.